practice of coming together and social gathering, which happens a period like now much more than other times. Let me now switch our gear to the East African community developments within the EAC. As you know, lots of things are happening globally on this pandemic. The amount of disruption that it has caused, not only in people's lives, in economies of many countries, but it has also had significant impact negatively on global commerce. But without global commerce, pharmaceuticals, and essential goods, we will not be able to defend ourselves against this virus. And it's for that reason that within East Africa, which we are part of, we came together as East African member states to see how we can develop an understanding of driving our commerce with minimal amount of disruption, because we cannot guarantee disruptions will not happen. The queues that you were shown of trucks, which in some cases have been as long as 40 kilometers, I think is as a result of this pandemic, which we cannot ignore. And so the agreements amongst all member states is cargo would be allowed to move across all member states without any restriction. And that is the position before, it is the position now, and it will be the position going forward. However, because these trucks are driven by people, each of these drivers must be subjected to coronavirus tests. If they have been done in their home countries, then they will be given a free pass at the borders. If, however, they have not been tested in their home countries, then it is an understanding between member states that the countries which trucks are coming into would have the obligation to do tests. So when our trucks go from here into Uganda and they don't have the tests for drivers, then the Ugandan authorities subject our drivers to corona tests. We do the same for our for drivers coming from Tanzania, and we do the same for all drivers coming from everywhere, including Ethiopia. And so it's not a unique development into any one member states. It's an agreement that is consensus by all member states. And it is the right thing to do, because it doesn't matter how good we are in protecting ourselves as an individual country, given the porous nature of our borders. We must come together collectively to win, to fight this successfully. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen the stories arising out of Tanzania about border closures and all sorts of things that have been alleged. The border, for the purpose of movements of cargo, has not been closed, and we are, including up to today, up to this afternoon before I came here, cargo trucks are moving into Tanzania from Kenya and from Tanzania into Kenya. As a minimum, we will guarantee as Kenya, we will not stop any cargo trucks coming from any member states, including Tanzania. That is an arrangement that we must abide with as one of the member states of EAC. And so I just want to make sure that we keep our record straight, that we will continue to support commerce within EAC region, but of course by taking the necessary caution of making sure that everybody gets tested the same way we subject our own people to those kind of tests. So I just thought I will make that clarification. If there are any other questions on your mind, we'll be more than happy to answer. But we really are committed. EAC remains the biggest trading partner for each of the other individual member states. For us, it is a significant market. It is important. We want to make sure that we focus on East Africa, and anything that will damage the relationships within EAC, we must deal with it. And we are engaging with our colleagues in Tanzania to make sure that any misunderstanding that might have arisen, and I've seen some video clips going around which we cannot verify, that our position as Kenya is cargo trade between all countries, including Tanzania, remain open, and we hope that is not going to be interfered with. Thank you very much.
Right. We can take one or two questions. Please.
First question is on the case at Holili border. We have, as you know, our border points with Tanzania is Lunga, Holili, Namanga, and Isibania. We are keeping track of movements of cargo between all these, within these border points. Our biggest entry points today with Tanzania is Namanga, where we receive approximately 100 to 120 vehicles from Tanzania coming into Kenya. There has been some accumulation, of course, as a result of the delays. And we are aware that there are a few trucks of Kenyan registration that have been denied access and entry into Tanzania. But we have not stopped processing vehicles coming from Tanzania into Kenya, as I've said earlier on. So those isolated cases, and we are talking about 5 to 7 vehicles that have been slowed down. They are actually on the Tanzanian side, but they haven't been allowed to proceed. So we are dealing with some of these isolated cases, and we hope we will be able to resolve that very quickly. I think the issue of making sure that the quality and the authenticity of the test results of countries that have tested their truck drivers and they come with it, we don't want to draw any aspersions on anybody's test results. Of course, when trucks move, they don't just wander around everywhere. We have tracking systems, electronic tracking system on all cargo that moves along the northern corridor between Mombasa right up to Malaba border before they cross. So we know where they are at every stage. There are designated places where they are likely to stop, and we make sure that they actually are monitored. There was an attempt for us to escort these people, but that is something that is going to be extremely expensive. But if situation demands at a later stage, undoubtedly we will do that. At the moment, as we speak, Tanzanian drivers have not been coming with certificates, and that is why we have decided to do the tests in Namanga. As the minister mentioned earlier on, there will be a mobile lab that would be installed there. And the delay that you see there is because that we have to administer the tests ourselves, and we do not have any test certificates coming from Tanzania's side. Thank you.
Asante sana.